For nearly 3 decades now, we have asked ourselves, as fans of the Harry Potter franchise, important questions such as, what if Harry Potter was born as a squib and had to survive in Hogwarts by using a sword rather than a wand? What if Hedwig was actually a magical cat? What if Harry had actually managed to go head-to-head against Professor Snape in a no-holds-barred duel? Ooh, that would have been really cool. Or what if Hermione and Ron had both been enamored with Harry and wanted to slurp up that swelling solution? What if Dumbledore actually was a woman? Well, all of those questions and more are answered in the new anime Wistoria, Wand and Sword. This fun anime is absolutely a knockoff of the Harry Potter franchise, while at the same time trying to not fall into the same weird tropes and patterns as Dan Machi. And although I say that, it is a ton of fun to watch knockoff Harry Potter running around a dungeon, running around knockoff Hogwarts, wielding a massive sword right out of Final Fantasy VII, and beating up a ton of monsters and humbling all of his fellow students. It really is fun to see a story where the main character has a loving relationship with the childhood best friend, and where the childhood best friend actually stands a chance, and where the childhood best friend absolutely is best girl. At least as far as we've so far seen in the series. It's a nice change of pace. It's also great to see that even though this main character, this Harry Potter knockoff, is yet again one of those other really dense protagonists, he does stand up for himself. He is absolutely motivated, and the wishy-washiness that he displays from time to time doesn't last all too long, except for where knockoff Ron and Hermione are concerned, which leads to yet still some awkward moments, and I will address that here in a moment. But overall, the animation is great, the story is fun, the characters really grow on you fast, the magic, as far as it is explained to us, is okay. I do have my gripes with how the school is structured, and if you want to learn more, you can check out my videos talking about how magical schools should be explored and utilized. Wistoria absolutely flunks in that regard. And yet, even as someone who was a teacher for 4 years and likes the idea of magical schools, this is still okay. It is a fun story that is absolutely worth your time. However, all of that being said, as a writer, I see a huge problem in Wistoria, Wand and Sword. And the big problem is this, that the mangaka and the adapting crew for the anime are trying so desperately to merge the creative world building of the Harry Potter franchise with the Shonen formula. And while I am someone who loves crossing the streams of genre to create all new and fantastic stories, the problem is that they are enslaved to the Shonen formula rather than getting really fun and creative. So let's talk about that for a moment. I want you to think about writing in terms of cooking. It's so easy to take a recipe that has been tried and proven by other chefs and bakers and make a fantastic meal from whatever they've done before. That is absolutely okay to do. The thing though is this, is that when you yourself want to be a chef that is successful, that grabs people's attention, you have to get creative. You take what other people have done and you take it in other directions and you see what works and what doesn't. When we talk about the formulas for writing, like, ooh, you must adhere to this kind of a plot, that's basically your recipe. The tropes are the different spices and ingredients that you can pull off of the shelf and add to the dish that you are creating. If you wish to create an all-new story, you are going to have to take a look at your ingredients and at the recipes that are at your disposal and begin mixing and matching and doing new things. Now then, in terms of Wistoria, Wand and Sword, again, it is very clear that the mangaka wanted to explore in battle shonen fashion the depth and complexity of a Harry Potter-esque world. And as you watch throughout the series, you begin to realize just how deep this world actually goes. There is thought to the magic. There is thought to the society that rules within this ever-shrinking world of wizards and other species. You realize that there is more to the strange intrigue playing out behind the scenes. And of course, there's a great apocalypse coming. Because of course, we need that. We need some big endgame goal for the hero to overcome in order to prove his worth. And that's absolutely fine. The problem is that a lot of the great world building is absolutely stunted by the shonen formula of we need to make the main character as pathetic as possible and reveal slowly over time the certain characters who've always actually liked him or who will come to like him, rather than throwing us right into the middle of this fun chaotic school and teaching us why the school exists, how the magic works, and what kinds of pathways are before the main protagonist. We instead are immediately railroaded into the main lead. Our Harry Potter knockoff wishes to ascend the magical tower and be with Elfie, the girl that he has loved since he was 2 years old. We will never mind how problematic that may sound because it's cute and because she's best girl, obviously. That is what he must do. In order to ascend the tower, he must gain credits. The only way for a squib to gain credits is by studying really hard and killing monsters. That is the only way that he's going to be able to obtain any sort of credits to ascend the tower, because he cannot use magic. Okay then, that's enough to make sense of what's going on, but how does the magic work? Why can't he use magic? And what is this whole credit system? Why would anyone want to ascend the tower anyway? Aside from him, why does this tower exist? What does this school all do? Very good, important questions. Unfortunately, most of them are not answered as of this point in episode 9 of the series. We are getting hints that all of those questions will be answered in time, and granted, for instance, like the big question of why can't our knockoff Harry Potter use magic, I'm okay with us not having the answer for a long time yet, don't get me wrong. I think that that's a really cool mystery, and I hope that it's paid off very well down the road. However, understanding the school's function, the tower's function, and how the school operates, and what the credit system really is, and how magic works, is essential to understanding what the heck is going on in the plot. No, that's only drip-fed to us. Why? Well, because we have bullies to overcome, and we have a tournament arc! Yes, there's a tournament arc! Why? I don't know, because the world building doesn't make any sense. And oh, after the tournament, we have yet another tournament, where the kids will now dive into the dangerous dungeon that exists for Dan Machi reasons, and our main character will have a chance to prove himself yet again. Ha! Good shonen battle stuff. Give us more battles. The battles are what really matter. Now, within a shonen battle story, that is what you expect. For instance, when we look at a story such as Bleach, the character of each individual person within the cast comes through perfectly through how they fight, through how they deal with victory and defeat. And because a story like Bleach is all about fighting, and gaining more levels, and going up to the big bad, then we expect that all the good character development will be in the fights. The problem is that when you decide to switch this on over to a school setting, it just starts becoming ridiculous and a little bit eye-rolling, because we've all been to school and we know that there's so much more than that. And when you've only feed us constant battle after battle after battle, the question then becomes, why are we even in a school situation? You might have made this actually a whole lot more interesting if we had made this maybe something along the lines of Dungeon Sherpa, where we have a bunch of adventurers going into the dungeon, trying to explore its greatest depths. And so you have adventurers from all these different walks of life and from all over the world, all there for their own individual reasons, doing amazing things. That sounds way more plausible and believable given the setting than a school built on top of this magical dungeon, and the kids exist to be fantastic cannon fodder against the monsters, and to maybe one day ascend the magical tower, which we will not explain until we need to drop more lore about the impending apocalypse. And the way I describe it right there is not an exaggeration. That is how the show treats everything that's going on. We compare this then to the rich world building in just the first book of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone if you're over in the UK and in certain parts of Europe. Throughout the first book of the Harry Potter franchise, we actually don't know much at all about the wizarding world, and yes, Harry's asking a lot of questions and is receiving a lot of answers. And yet, when you compare book 1 to book 7 of Harry Potter, it's like, oh, you sweet summer child, you had no idea of the crazy world you were about to get yourself into. And yet, when you read through the Sorcerer's Stone, you see all of these fantastic clues and little nuggets of world building that J.K. Rowling later on spins out into very awesome reveals for the story, or very important subplots along the way. Stuff about the Ministry of Magic, other wizarding schools, the art of crafting wands, who is Lord Voldemort and his mysterious backstory, as well as the lives and professions of the different professors. Why does Snape hate Harry so much? Well, it's because of your dad. Oh boy, oh, there's so much more that you are about to learn. And that is one of the things that makes the Harry Potter franchise just so endearing, so engaging, is that there's so much about this incredible world all over the place that you can stop and have a look and be like, wow, okay, so you gave me some answers. Okay, I understand that now, for it to then to be revealed even more later on. Unfortunately, Wistoria Wand and Sword cannot do that because the Shonen formula, the Shonen pattern, only allows you to have the information that you need in the moment that it becomes applicable to knock off Harry and his own hero's journey. If it doesn't immediately support his hero's journey, it is at best negligible background information that is either not spelled out at all to give you any indication of what this even is, or it's even completely forgotten, and then you have a character, like let's say in the 9th episode, be all like, oh yes, where is the king? What, you mean to tell me that you guys have had a king this entire time? Well, I guess that makes sense because in episode 8 you did say that there are knights, so that means that there should be a king, but I never had any hint until episode 8 that you guys even lived under a monarchy. It just seemed like you guys were some great autonomous collection of mages. And so that already kind of throws the world building into question. You begin to wonder, do I even really understand what's happening in the story? So here's the thing, you can absolutely have a shonen style story of wizards doing amazing things, ripping off Harry Potter and ripping off Dan Machi. You absolutely can. You can cross those streams. The problem is that you're trying to stuff too many things from other incredible stories into a highly rigid, very well regulated formula that serves other stories well, but maybe not a story that's supposed to be this big. The problem is that you can see all of the amazing potential there on the screen, and each time that we are given a new nugget of world-building information or of character development, you realize just how deep this story should be, and that we should have been getting a lot of this information back in episodes 2 and 3, not in episodes 8 and 9. The pacing has been screwed up because of what the shonen formula, the shonen battle formula, is calling for. So as a result, knock off Harry Potter. He's doing really well. He's on his hero's journey, and that's fine and enjoyable, but the rest of the world seems flat. It feels like it's not lived in. It feels like it's not living up to its potential. So you as a writer, what do you need to do? You need to be bold. You need to be experimental. And sometimes you need to say, hey, you know what? This recipe worked really well for other authors. I understand why, but the story that I want to tell cannot fit into that recipe. It cannot fit into that formula. Either because the world building is too big and you want to explore more of what you can offer the audience, or maybe the cast is too big and you need to focus on more characters rather than just the one main character. Or perhaps there are certain themes that don't fit in well with just constant battling and swinging your wand and swinging your sword. Harry, Ron, out of the locker room, please! So my writing advice is this: be bold with your storytelling, be creative, and it's okay to draw inspiration from what other people have done. We all do that. The thing is that you don't want to copy someone else because, for one thing, that is plagiarism, but another thing is that the stories that sometimes that you want to tell do not fit the structure of what other authors have done. Again, be bold, be inventive, be creative, and you will find as you write that some things don't work well. And when that time comes, Well, you gotta take an axe to those little darlings and cut them up and throw them away. Or maybe put them into another story where they will fit way better. That's absolutely fine as well. So, that's my writing advice and my recommendation. Check out Wistoria, Wand and Sword if you haven't done so already. I think that you'll enjoy it. If you have, let me know in the comments, and if you haven't enjoyed it, tell me why in the comments, and let's get a conversation going. But with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on this magical adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.